of the City Council for the United States Congress. So we join together in this wonderful, probably the second most filmed area in our City Hall by the movie companies, that first one being the famous rotunda out there. I'm joined by Ed Reyes, the great councilman of the 1st District. This is the Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committee, and we are here today. I want to ask you. We have very special Clerk Erica Pulse, who's with us. Erica, I'd like to say we have 2 items on this very special agenda. We also have the Deputy Mayor who is here, Larry Frank, who's very effective in community work. Mr. Frank, you could come to the front here. We're going to call item number 1 first, if we could, on this issue here. Item 1 is the Department of Disability. And if you come right here just to help us along, because I know you've been briefing council, etc., on the issue here, Mr. Reyes and myself, and I'm sure many members of council, as well as the mayor, kind of have a strong feeling. And I know we've articulated our strong feeling to you and the mayor has then said what?
So the mayor's office has never supported the CIO putting the Department of Disability into the layoff list. So from day one, that's always been the position of the mayor's office. And just for the record, yeah. You identify yourself? Yes, hi. So Larry Frank, I'm Deputy Mayor for Neighborhood and Community Services. I also have responsibility for some departments here, Department of Neighbor Empowerment, Bureau of Contract Administration, and the Community Development Department. And there was actually a recommendation about moving some of the AIDS work, HIV prevention work, and education work over to CDD. That's also never been part of the conversation moving forward. So, yeah, I can officially announce that the mayor's...
Well, wait a second. I want officially with Mr. Lewis. Where is the committee announce that the Department of Disability will stay independent and be a continual department? Here for it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Villaraigosa's representative, Mr. Frank, I thank you. There's constant discussion, commissioners. We're joined here by the commission that represents the Department of Disability. There's constant discussion all the time. And I hope it's true in everyone's life there's constant discussion because the challenges that one may have. But in the discussion, in the end, you find out what is right and what works. And the struggle that those of you who started, and I see Betty Wilson over here, State Commissioner, give Betty a big hand. Betty was with Mayor Tom Bartley's administration as a valuable asset on the 21st floor of City Hall. And all those years, it was in the mayor's office, and they fought and fought for creation of the department. They got that created department and focused on issues related to challenges and disabilities. With that, at this time, there was a discussion of everything. They put everything up on the wall that said what works, what doesn't work. We know the department works and works hard and focuses with a great team. So, Ms. Swan, if you want to come to the center microphone, this is a little different than the committee room we usually sit in. So you have been briefed by the mayor's office and understand what as we go forth?
Yes. Regina Houston Swain, Executive Director, Department on Disability. I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for the support of the Department on Disability. As I understand it, it's been determined that the department is not facing elimination at this time. And I think I can speak for the community at large to say that we're very appreciative of the mayor and council support of the community of people with disabilities. Also, I'd like to say that at this time, the department has 18 staff positions, and that is the bare minimum with which we can function as a department. And since we have sustained several cuts over the past few years, I think we've lost 7 positions in the last 7 years. Since we have sustained great cuts, I don't believe we can sustain any more. And I would ask that we remain whole so that we can continue to provide quality services to the community.
Thank you very much. We're going to do the best that we can. We're going to ask if any commission members would like to speak at this time. And Mr. Reyes, any time? Yeah, right.
Mr. Chair, would you want us to ask questions after?
After the commission to speak. I wanted that, if that's okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Labange. We're very grateful for the information you've provided, keeping the department intact, and we're grateful to the mayor's office as well. As chair of the Commission on Disability, the department is basically what makes the commission function. We have no budget for the commission, and we have no staff independently. So we rely completely on the Department of Disability staff. We've had a great cooperative relationship. They are the ones that take care of all of the public meeting stuff we have to deal with before our meetings. They take care of the minutes. They take care of getting translators. They do everything for us. And when we have public hearings, outside of our normal type of public hearings, our investigative hearings, they find the witnesses and do the organization. So they're what make us function. And I think Ms. Swain is quite accurate in saying we need to have the staff pretty much at this level because we have had a drop-off in the ability to do certain projects. For example, last year we weren't able to do the Abilities Expo. And it's going to be harder to do the public hearing investigations like the ones we've done on special education and Veterans Affairs in Los Angeles and others, all of which the council and the mayor get reports on to see how the city is responding to the needs of the disabled in these areas. Last time the Veterans report took us almost, I think, 7 months to get that report finished because of the lack of staff. So thank you all, and I appreciate the community coming out, and we'll like to go forward. Also like to enlist your help as things settle down here a little bit. We'd like to set up a nonprofit arm to the
Foundation, if you will.
Foundation, Friends of the DOD. We could use some help organizing that and having contacts to help organize fundraising and things like that.
I know the mayor's been champion of that. Mr. Reyes, you've organized a foundation for the river, and this is a good idea. We have one in the library department, recreation and parks, arts, etc. So on that, any of the commissioners like to speak? So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. I'm sorry, yes. One more time, Louis.
Let's see. Okay, there we go. Good morning, everybody, and it's an honor for me to be here, Councilman Labange, Councilman Reyes, and the other gentleman. I think I missed somebody, but I want to say that it's great to see that the mayor did live up to his comment. I'll never forget his remarks that he made during his inaugural speech, where he said that he wants to be a lawyer for everybody. That includes the disabled community. For a long time, it was difficult for me to try to see how a city like Los Angeles can exist and with all it offers and yet disregard representation of one of the most important segment of its population. It's disabled community. We have a voice, and I'm glad that we're going to still have a voice. I'm very honored to serve in the Commission on Disabilities, and will continue to do so. But I want to say that it's great to see that the mayor did stand up and backed up what he said. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I know the council feels very strongly too as well. Mr. Frank, before you run too far away, we want you to hear everything. We have the commissioners all spoke. I'll call on Mr. Reyes. We do have some public comment cards, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the challenges we have when we start looking at this new reality with resources and cutbacks is how we look at ourselves as individuals who might create new markets, if you will. What is it that we do as a department, as disability department, that allows us to look at different opportunities to create revenue? And that is something that I believe every department has to begin to contemplate. Which functions are performing that could be improved and or expanded? What is it that we do on our day-to-day behavior that could realize some return of some type of resource funding that can be dedicated to the department? And so those are the types of thought processes that I think we need to engage, get out of our comfort zones within our bureaucratic roles and titles and start looking at these issues from a perspective that speaks to the notion of creating revenue and generating resources. And I just want to share that with the commissioners. I think the foundation idea is a very good one. We're hoping that as the economic crisis begins to bottom out and we start on an upswing, that we can build up strength in establishing a foundation. But in the interim, how we start redefining our roles and looking at ourselves as individuals within the department, within the commission, within the mayor's office, within the council office, how do we think differently and really start assessing what changes could occur that establishes a revenue source for our services. I keep asking, are we a public service organization, or are we an employment agency? And therein lies the struggle between many of these decisions that we have to make. So thank you, and thank you, commissioners, for your great work.
Mr. Reyes, thank you very much. And I know this commission had a great hearing in November in this same room, which helped lay the groundwork for today and to articulate it. We're going to have public comment on this item number 1. Again, to state the reorganization of the Department of Disability is not on the table. It will remain a department. I will call Steve Simon from the department first for a 1-minute public comment, and then we'll call the cards.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Stephen Simon, City AIDS Coordinator. Just a couple of thoughts I want to really put out there for really clarity in the situation. Yes, thank you for the committee's important comments and the mayor's office's and very important comments on keeping the Department on Disability as a department. I still feel I need to stress that along with keeping this department a department, we need to retain the core staff who provide core services and core programs. Because if we still say it's a department and say, well, let's cut 2 staff, let's cut 4 staff, you will lose staff that are literally irreplaceable. We will lose staff where there's only one person who understands the TTY system across the city, the LAPD communications issues. We have only one staff person who does the emergency preparedness work. We have one staff person who does the AIDS prevention work. So I need to make sure we walk out of here really clear that we keep the core functions and core staff intact. And if that does not happen, if we shift around our staff and have some flexibility there because we're being cut even further, it will actually render those programs unable to provide their services literally.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reyes.
Mr. Simon, I appreciate what you're saying, but what is in front of us is daunting. If we do not take heed to the responsibilities we have as a municipal corporation, and we end up bankrupt because we can't make decisions, then there could be a total different entity that has nothing to do with number, type, or levels of service. They're just going to get a sheet of paper, red line items, and say, this is gone, with no questions. And that's what a bankruptcy process will do. So as much as I appreciate what you're saying, we have to make hard decisions as to the health of this city and making sure we could respond to the level of debt and pressure that currently exists on the budget. So I find it very painful to have to make these decisions, but if we don't do this systematically, someone else will do it for us. And that's a responsibility I think we should all work together in terms of establishing the path of that's least painful. But I understand what you're saying, and it's very critical to hear that.
And staff looks forward to working with you to make sure we do that to retain our core services and functions of this department.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Wolf, do you have a comment?
Yes, I do. I would like to echo Mr. Simon's comments by saying that we must keep the most qualified people in the most qualified positions. In other words, let me put it this way. I could serve on the police or fire commission, and I literally know nothing about those topics. I wouldn't be qualified in those positions. We've got to keep the best qualified people in the best qualified positions. It's not enough to move people around and put people in the wrong positions. Otherwise, the city will not function as properly as it could or should.
Thank you very much, David. I'm going to count on the general manager to lead us in that effort and working with the mayor's office, which oversees all departments. Now, we have a 1-minute public comment right now. Jason Wise from AIDS Project Los Angeles, followed by Norma Jean Vescovo. Jason.
Good morning. I am Jason Wise from AIDS Project Los Angeles. I'm here to, first of all, thank you for committing to the Department of Disability and thus the AIDS Coordinator's Office. I want to specifically talk about the AIDS Coordinator's Office and echo what was just spoken about. We understand the financial concerns weighing heavily on the city, but we strongly oppose any employee shifting schemes that could result in experienced staff members being removed from office. These employees have years of experience in the HIV field and knowledge in support of AIDS service organizations like AIDS Project Los Angeles, and this experience would be lost if these staff members were removed or moved to other departments. Organizations like APLA and the tens of thousands of Angelinos living in the city with HIV and AIDS need a strong city-based support system in order to adequately serve the individuals. Thank you very much.
Jason, thank you very much. Norma Jean, please. Followed by Roberto Gomez.
My name is Norma Jean Visclova. I'm the Executive Director of the Independent Living Center of Southern California. And just to express a little bit of experience, I did work with Mayor Bradley before he was mayor to set up the council in the very, very beginning. And it was important because I know I was in a wheelchair. His office was the only office I could get into. Nothing else was accessible. And that's what started the process. And it now is moved towards, we have accessible office, we have accessible buildings. And a lot of that has to do with the mayor's office on disability. It's very important to recognize that an individual that is disabled is very vulnerable for one reason. They have no idea of becoming a minority. When you become a minority as a person with a disability, you start all over. You have so much to learn. You have no idea where to contact, what to do, what type of equipment you might need, how do you get into a building, how do you respond to your needs. And it's important that you recognize that the expertise within this office offers that, where a person can come and get this information. So I really uphold the fact of keeping this office not only together, which I thank you for, but to also keep their budget as close as you can. Thank you.
Norma Jean. Roberto Gomez, followed by Leland Morel. Roberto.
Hi, my name is Roberto Gomez, and I work for Bienestar Human Services in South Los Angeles. I am the center supervisor there, but I'm also a health educator for the POL program, which is an HIV prevention program. I do want to talk about the AIDS Coordinator's Office. I think the City of Los Angeles has an enormous need to maintain the leadership and coordination, such as the AIDS Coordinator's Office has shown. And I think communities such as South Los Angeles really need that, and I feel that Bienestar's goal has been to serve the Latino community as well as the LGBT community and other underserved communities, and I'm glad to hear that the department will not be eliminated, but I do want to stress that we do need the proper qualified staff to maintain that leadership. Thanks.
Thank you. Leland Morville?
Hi, yes, my name's Leland Morrow. Good morning.
Morrow, thank you.
This is my first time addressing this committee, and I also use HIV services here in Los Angeles. 2 Fridays ago, I attended the HIV/AIDS Elder Advocacy Summit and new media training co-hosted by Councilman Bill Rosenthal and also the AIDS Coordinator's Office. I'm here specifically to resist cuts and key staff with expertise to the AIDS Coordinator's Office. Cutting the Department on Disabilities funds undermines the AIDS Coordinator's Office mission statement, being committed to developing and supporting programs and policies that prevent transmission of HIV and improve quality of life for people living with HIV and AIDS in the city of Los Angeles. Prime example of the use of this office, this past weekend, I had a friend that is newly diagnosed, and I actually went onto the website and I used 2 of their web links, Kaiser Family Foundation HIV/AIDS information and HIV LA Resource Directory. And had this website not been updated or been there, I couldn't have helped this person.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is George here? All right, George. George, what's your last name?
Late in the last time I thought about it.
All right, good job.
Well, there's really no complaints, but just wanted to say thanks for keeping the Department of DOD intact. Because without the DOD, where could guys like me go to have fun, talk to people, meet new people, and stuff like that? So just, keep trying to spin the wheel and make the deal when it comes to raising funds, and then keep disabled people in mind when you get ready to prepare for the emergency evacuation process. And that's it.
Thank you very much, George. Stephen Rosenthal. Stephen. Terry Breckner is next.
Stephen Rosenthal with Olympia Medical Center. We collaborate with the AIDS HIV department. We were actually very instrumental in finding that AIDS and HIV were a disease in the early 80s. But the important thing I want to talk about real quickly, first of all, thank you for keeping the department intact. However, as you know, and other people have talked about, needing experts for job training, focusing on job training. Job training makes a big difference because it takes people with disabilities out of the welfare rolls and helps them become taxpayers and helps them pay Los Angeles bills. That's very important. The other is experts in ADA and ADA compliance. Remember, experts can make a difference. Experts can save money. So it's really important to keep the department intact. And thank you again.
Thank you, Stephen. Terry Breckner? Terry Breckner? Thanks, Terry.
Good morning to all of you. It's an honor to be here. My name is Terry Buckner. I am a deaf and blind individual with a double disability. This is how I label myself. I represent the deaf and the blind community out there in the Los Angeles area. I also know Ray McKeever, who is the Vice President of the Southern California Association for the Deaf-Blind. He is also here as well, representing the deaf-blind community. You won't see too many deaf-blind people here because they're stuck at home. They're isolated. They can't come out here. So I come here to represent them. And I absolutely support the DOD, keeping it as it is. It's a great organization. Without the DOD, our life wouldn't be here. I've been listening to your discussions in regards to the wheelchair and listening to the ones who are wheelchair disabled, and listening to understanding the need to have the skilled individuals stay in their specialized areas. For a person who specializes in people who are with wheelchairs, need to work with that area. A person who works with the blind need to stay in that area. For example, Richard Ray with his area needs to stay there. But where is the deaf-blind? Where is the deaf-blind? So, we're last on the hierarchy of needs. It's extremely frustrating to get support, and we're slowly, ever so slowly, building this up, and we need this help to be continued through the DOD. And the deafblind really need to be placed higher up on the list of priorities. And Ray McKeever, who has been living here for more than 40 years as a deafblind individual, understands this process. I mean, it's an extremely slow process. I understand that you're helping other disabilities, the wheelchair-bound and whatnot, but please, I'm begging you to help with the deafblind support. And I do support the DOD, and I hope that Richard Ray will continue to work with me to help you stay here, earn a lot of money, raise revenues to keep this Department on Disability here. Thank you very much.
Terry, thank you very much. And I would ask the interpreter to give Terry a hug from us. Okay, tell him thank him for coming to City Hall. Okay, thank you. Pam Inaba. Thank you, Pam. And Victor, is it Victor Martinez? You're next.
Hi, I want to thank you for letting me speak. My name is Pam Inaba. I'm the mental health liaison for CalLife, that's Communities Actively Living Independent and Free. And I'm also a past chair of the LA County Client Coalition. And I wanted to say, just in general, this is a big city. This is, the largest city in the country. If we don't have this department, I don't know what we're going to do, what we're going to look like, because this department, I remember using it when Mayor Bradley it was way back when. I can't even remember how old I was, because I'm 50 now. So this place has always provided information, referrals, information on the meetings, and a lot of the staff has that expertise that everybody else has been talking about. That information referral to the great places like the CalLife, which is led by Lilibeth Navarro, who I'm sure you probably know. This city is so large. If it doesn't have this department, I don't know what I would do for access to services, and it constantly is going to need some support. So I think if you could keep the staff and keep it going as it's been going, because skeleton is bad enough. So if you do it even less than that, you're not going to have that expertise that you need to have.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Victor Martinez.
Good morning, council members. My name is Victor Martinez, and I'm with Bienestar. I'm the Director of Programs and Services. First of all, thank you. Thank you for keeping intact the Department of Disabilities. But today I'm here also in fully support for the AIDS Coordinator Office. This office has been a champion providing prevention, testing, and care services to hard-to-reach population, such as Latino immigrant, and monolingual Spanish-speaking, gay men, and transgender. What they do is amazing. They have been a champion fighting HIV and AIDS. I'm here to ask not to cut any key staff in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Every day, a large number of people get exposed to HIV. Without this coordinator office, there will be many more impacted. I've been living with HIV for 20 years, and I know this can be avoided, and with the help of the 8th Corridor Office, we can turn around the epidemic.
Thank you very much, Victor. Issa K. Maskin.
By the way, I've signed for both this topic and...
You could say, whatever you sign up for, I want to hear from you.
Okay. Issa K. Mexon. I used to be on the Advisory Community Committee for Access Services and also came to many of the commission meetings. And you're dealing with a population that is highly complex and extraordinarily diverse, and a public that is, by and large, rather insensitive and unknowing of the needs of the disabilities community. So maintaining the staff and the expertise which you keep hearing about in ADA and all the other aspects is profoundly important and must be maintained.
Thank you very much. Sandy Eisenberg.
Good morning. My name is Sandy Eisenberg. My company, Total Recall Captioning, has worked with the City of Los Angeles for about 18 years now. We provide the real-time captioning on the screen here. Right now, I don't know if you know this, but there are 3 services going on for deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind individuals. Are actually 3 services. And far be it from me to know who else but the expert staff that is in place now would be able to know that we would actually need 3 services to properly serve our constituents at this meeting, just for deaf and hard of hearing people. I'm very glad to hear that you're creating a nonprofit arm. County Commissioner Janet Neal, who was one of the original members of the Commission on Disabilities for the City of Los Angeles, and I have presented an idea about having a showcase fundraiser. This would be in November to commemorate Disabilities Awareness Month, and at a large venue like perhaps the sports arena. I just want to say, before you cut, fundraise.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Joanne Dean. Angela, I want to say it right, Kaufman. Next.
Hello, thank you. First of all, while I'm saying thank you, I'm finding it hard to believe, actually, that it's even being considered to cut. That's the purpose, cut this department, because the purpose of the ADA, as you know, is to ensure people with disabilities. I'm a retired teacher. I'm forced out of retirement. I was for LA Unified School District. I'm strongly encouraging you. I worked as a career counselor and vocational training for LA Unified for deaf and hard of hearing services. In support of the 750,000 deaf and hard of hearing people who aren't here today, and the students who are employed primarily through the efforts of Richard Ray and his staff. They have provided numerous individuals with jobs, and if I could just implore you to continue and to perhaps involve some kind of public service where there's a station, sign language station, where all this information that is being shared here can be visible, but can be more as an arm of a nonprofit. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Joanne.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you. Angela, next. Thank you, Joanne. See this here? We're going to see what Channel 35 does about
Good morning, council members and commissioners. My name is Angela Kaufman. I am one of the ADA compliance coordinators for the Department on Disability. Thank you for allowing me to speak during this committee meeting. What I'd like to address is the perceived loss of service that has been discussed by the CAO, mayor, and council. The loss of services is not necessarily something that is readily visible or able to be quantified. I would like to discuss the impact DoD has on public safety and the subject matter expertise that DoD staff possesses. Any further cuts or replacement to DoD staff will affect all city departments, the mayor, and city council, not just the public. It will not be business as usual. Does anybody know the average age that somebody becomes disabled? There isn't one. It's the life cycle. It's from birth to death. Any of you can join my community at any given moment, from a car accident, a fall, domestic violence, child abuse, hate crimes, a gunshot, sports injury, fire, illness, even an earthquake or a disaster. For the past several years, DoD staff has worked very closely with EMD and the city family to help ensure that our disaster emergency programs are accessible and functionally equivalent to constituents with disabilities. While there have been a few bumps along the way, the collaboration has greatly improved the city's overall response. This was demonstrated by the coordinated efforts during the Metrolink accident, the Merrick, Cessnon, and Sayre fires, and more recently, the rains, in which DoD staff surveyed and made recommendations on shelter locations to help ensure that the most accessible sites were utilized. Los Angeles is a much better place than we have ever been in, but there's still so much more that needs to be accomplished. For DoD, emergency management is not one of our core services, but it should be. It's an essential and necessary service that we provide to public safety. DoD has for the past several years requested an emergency preparedness coordinator and other funding to improve the capability and capacity to respond to the needs of persons with disabilities and their families during emergencies. The call for downsizing DoD staff or replacing them with inexperienced workers will gravely impact public safety and the support we provide for LAFD, LAPD, EMD, and other city departments on any given day.
And I appreciate all those comments, and if you have it in writing, you could present it to the committee, and they're great comments. And we're looking to the mayor's office, we're looking to the council, we're looking to the department to find grants to help all people with all challenges. Thank you for your comments. Ray McNow. Ray? Thanks, Ray. Where's Kenny?
Hello, my name is Riley Receiver. I have an United Kingdom 2D, which stands for Attendant Payment Total with Hearing Problem. I'm more caused by my job, hard of hearing with low vision, but by a doctor definition, I'm legally deaf and blind, not totally deaf and blind. And I'm very happy to hear that Department of Disability will be intact for at least 7 more years. But you have to realize 11% of the hearing impaired live in city of Los Angeles, and you have almost 40%, including 5% of the ACL, but 40% that's including all people with disability. So you have more people living in Los Angeles with so many different problems and needs. If you ever try to cut our departments, where can I go for help? Where can I ask for the captain, which I'm using for this service? Because I'm hard of hearing, I'm more comfortable reading what's going on. But like Mr. Ray, he's more comfortable in time to need an interpreter for him to talk. And Terry Bradner, he's deaf and blind, he needs tacit signing. So you have very different needs for various type of hearing impairment. And for Angela Kaufman, who is in charge of the emergency department for disability, without her, who can help people with disability within the city of Los Angeles? Everybody's going to get because nobody's sparing besides the Department of Disability. And I'm hoping everything goes well. Thank you.
Ray, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ms. Koskalua, did I say that correctly? Please correct me when you come to the podium. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Joe Pai, Koskalua.
This day calls for a celebration, and I salute everyone in the council for the hard work and the mayor's wisdom on this decision. Let us not forget, though, people like Lilibeth Navarro of CalLife, Communities Actively Living Independent and Free, who trooped down to the streets, who rallied and sacrificed being under the sun and sacrificing lunches when we were fighting for DOD to stay afloat. These are the real heroes of this decision, and we continue to fight for budget cuts. And I will just echo Sandy's comments earlier. There are revenues that can be studied. Please, let's go that way. The other thing I just don't want to forget about the DOD's vital services is the recognition of people very talented and highly skilled, people with disabilities. So all of those programs should not be shut down. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This completes the public comment on item 1. Mr. Reyes, do you have any questions for staff?
Yes. Have staff come to the microphone.
Staff could come to the podium.
Given the announcement this morning and understanding you need time to evaluate and assess what this means, to the best of your ability, how many community service providers would be impacted by this action that's been indicated today?
It's an Adriana question. Hundreds.
Adriana?
We're only hesitant because the number is very high, and Adriana does all our community networking with the Computerized Information Center.
Good morning. My name is Adriana Miranda, the Computerized Information Center. We provide the number of organizations that would be affected. Individuals would be, officially, it's 1,000 that we provide services for directly, but it is, many of these 1,000 are repeated people that, as the last gentleman mentioned, have nowhere else to go. Organizations, is thousands of them.
Okay, so the individuals that have these responsibilities, we're talking about staff reductions, and we're
Sorry,
obviously
we're talking
increasing
about what?
staff reductions.
Yes.
So, in handling the workload, what's the thinking? What's the strategy? How are you prepared to respond?
Okay.
It really is a question, council member, of what programs you want to retain intact. If you take out the ADA coordinator position that does all the communications and deaf services, we will no longer have that program. If you take out the HIV prevention staffer, there's only one of, we will no longer have that program. We don't have the capacity to even train replacements. If you take out the CIC people, there's only 2 people that do that. There are 1,000 listed clients on a certain report we do monthly, but there are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people who get services directly or indirectly through the programs. So we really are down to 1 or 2 people in any of our 4 primary service categories. So the question has become, every time we look at, will you cut staff? If we follow a general civil service process, the trickle-down effect within the department would eliminate core staff in at least 2 of the 4 programs.
So at this point, you can't answer because of this announcement, but you will eventually have some type of a report that speaks to what decisions you have to make given the limited fund that exists, correct?
We would have to know what staff, how much staff we're being asked to cut.
But that would be the general manager's decision based on what resources exist.
That's exactly right. I'm Tony Abraham, the budget director for the Department of Disability. As we have informed both the mayor's office and the sales office, a very small department. We only have a staff of 18. Just about 5 of those are admin. Therefore, we have 4 primary programs that reach across the population of Los Angeles, and that's the ADA with probably a staff of only 3, the ACO with a staff of 5, the CIC, the Computerized Information Center, with a staff of 2, and the Community Affairs. That's just about it for a population of 3 or 4 million people in the city of Los Angeles, so a staff of total of 18 only. So with those 4 broad programs, they're reaching out to multiple community groups and all. So if there's any cuts, that is a decision that the executive director will simply have to make. But keep in mind, it's a staff of 18.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. In terms of the transfer of the AIDS program to CDD, where within CDD will this function land? Could anyone answer that?
It has been determined that the AIDS program is not to be transferred to CDD. It will remain as part of the department.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this completes item number 1 right now. We're going to count on our general manager to be our voice, our commission to be our voice, to always know this committee here will hear these matters. There will be an adjustment with the budgets throughout the city. We hope as we go through this that we make sure that the positions that are key there. And I wanted to call up Mr. Frank to ask if you go to the microphone since I got you back here. Come over to the microphone. So, Mr. Frank, we thank the mayor's commitment to keep this as a Department of Disability, and we know the mayor would not like to cut anybody. He would like to expand services, but because of declining grants, declining dollars, decisions will be made. But to be aware that a number of people came here today, of the 18 positions, is that correct, from the financial officer who's sitting right there with the nice scarf? I like your scarf. Okay. All righty. With that being said, are any of these 18 positions challenged at this moment, or are we going to keep those intact?
So, as you know, we're looking at a mid-year correction. In the mid-year correction, my belief is that they are not challenged, but in next year's budget, there's no pressure on the special funded positions, but every single general funded position in the city, there's pressure on.
Right.
Right. So I'm not in a position to speak.
Take that commitment. We're going to work hard for it to try to do it, to try to keep it as much.
Yes.
With that being said, Ms. Swain, would you please keep us posted? We're moving this forward. This will go to council, Erica. This will go to council Tuesday. We'll have a report on this on council on Tuesday. This has been a successful decision made by the mayor, encouraged by the council committee members and by other council members, and the commission, which on November 3rd or 30th had that very important, impactful hearing here. That being said, item 1 will move forward to council next week. It still will rain again. We just don't want to get caught in the rain. So we have to be prepared to help our Department of Disability, and we also, Mr. Deputy Mayor, want to have a meeting to discuss a foundation for the disabled in Los Angeles, how we get grants. Item number 1 complete. Thank you. Now, item number 2.
Item number 2 is a discussion on the restructure of the Human Services Department and potential action on a draft ordinance to be submitted relative to the status of the Human Services Department, including its 3 commissions: the Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families, the Commission on the Status of Women, and the Human Relations Commission.
If I could ask the Deputy Mayor to make a presentation.
Good morning again. Larry Frank, Deputy Mayor of Neighborhood Community Services. Council members, commissioners, general public. My involvement in this consolidation is based on my responsibility for the Community Development Department, which is the department, which is the receiving department in this consolidation. The proposal is for a consolidation to move forward under Charter Sections 514 and 516. And so there will be an ordinance that is being worked on between the Human Services Department and CDD and other CAO's office and City Attorney's office. Today, there's a meeting at 3 o'clock. There's more meetings happening tomorrow. So the proposal is this. The key, I think, for the city, and what I've heard loud and clear, Councilmember, from you, is to preserve the functions. Right, and so this is the proposal on how those functions will are intended to be preserved. First of all, the commission, as you know, the Human Services Department is a consolidation of 3 commissions. Commission on Children, Youth, and Families, Commission on the Status of Women, and the Human Relations Commission. All 3 of those commissions will be staffed at CDD. The Commission on Children, Youth, and Families is actually going to get a promotion. They have traditionally had oversight of a purview, but not really a departmental or budgetary purview. They've had a couple small, kind of boutique programs that are excellent, and their job has been to sort of, incubate small boutique programs, and we want those programs, to the extent they can, to actually go to where they connect up to the rest of the city services. So the commission, right now, at the Community Development Department, we have a 51-person Workforce Investment Board that oversees the $90 million we get in Workforce Investment Act dollars. Have in addition to that, we've just recreated our human service delivery system, rebid the entire, we're doing ribbon cuttings all over the city with 21 family source centers where we've invested heavily in this single application process. We have a host of about 110 or so contracts and subcontracts that are delivering human services throughout the city. We're proposing that the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families be consolidated with the required Citizen Unit for Participation and the Community Advisory Board to create a single board. Instead of overseeing, right now the CCYF oversees about $500,000, they'll oversee about $25 million in terms of advising us on how we best deliver anti-poverty programs and human programs to the community.
Got it. We're trying to be able to prepare this. I want to ask Mr. Reyes if he has any direct questions. I have a few, but I want Mr. Reyes to go first. To you, Mr. Frank.
So first about CCYF?
All the overall picture, because we're going to run into a 10 o'clock.
Okay, so we should...
Yeah.
Well, I have questions, but I'll save them for later, or
Okay.
council.
All right. Some of these we will save for the council body as a whole, because
Yeah.
we're intent to move this forward.
Yep.
So we got the general overview.
Status of women will continue.
You heard me loud and clear. I don't mean to raise my voice to the deputy mayor, but you mean loud and clear, and I think Mr. Reyes,
Yep.
services are so important.
Yep.
On how you deal with the function.
Yeah.
We know the independence of the Department of Disability, and that's important. We kept that gold. But in these issues here, I originally intended, Ed, to see that many of these went back to the mayor's office. But the mayor's office, in their thinking, that had a broader thinking, they thought they could enhance their ability where they would have more impact and more power on dollars and work in partnership with Community Development Department. So this may be a win-win. The only thing I want to ask, and if the CLA could do this here, to have an amendment on this or a note of this here, that the mayor's office we can't instruct the mayor's office, can we? We can request the mayor's office
But we'll be receptive to
do
what I think
what
you're
is
about to say.
right, that they create a youth council or to get our youth involved. Ed, you were on the youth council. I was on the youth council. And you know what? The first thing they said to me was Bill Elkins, who was then Mayor Bradley's top guy. The first thing he said to me, Betty, in the meeting was, remember, you members on the youth council, one day you'll be on the senior citizen council. That's what they called it. So make sure you think about the end when you're at the beginning. And I remember I was on the 21st floor when he said that. That being said, we have to get the young people to participate. I don't want them in the department on 7th Street or on Figueroa. I want them in the mayor's office like Ed and I was. I in the 70s and you in the 70s too? Or,
Late 70s.
So late 70s. So I didn't want to pick on Ed there.
There's another elected office that came out of the youth council. Is that true?
Well, Mark Ridley Thomas was elected, Wendy Gruhl, our controller,
Gruhl,
etc., Ed Reyes, and all that's important. That's the one thing we're going to request, that the mayor's office hold a mayor's youth advisory council or committee. So it's your area deputy,
Yes,
the people who you work with all the time, Deputy Mayor Frank, get involved with those schools, get them involved with City Hall, have a relationship. Anyway, Mr. Reyes.
Yes, in the reports we've been given, and I'm not sure if you can shed any more light on this, but the Joy Pikus Child Care Center, there has yet to be a department determined where it can go. Is that
Yeah.
still in the state of flux?
So that's in a 11 o'clock and a 3 o'clock meeting today.
Okay.
That is still to
Okay.
be determined.
So I know there's a lot of turbulence, and we're trying to get a handle on this.
Yes.
So I appreciate the challenge that we're all in, so thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Good, all right, so does anyone at this table have any questions of the deputy mayor on this, even though it's not directly related to you? I think it's real important. And I ask you to brief council members and their staffs, and this is a very impactful move that may result in better opportunities. And always keep that mayor's office door open, which I know the mayor believes in that, so anyone could come and speak on that.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. We have one card. Okay. Before we have one public comment card, I'm going to then call on the commissioners after that. You want to make your comment right now, Isa? Thank you. Isa, I know. Isa, I know, right.
Isa K. Mexon.
Isa.
Well, in terms of the Human Relations Commission, I have interfaced with them 3 times and know their significance. The first was at the Echo Park Boys and Girls Club, which was non-functioning and creating problems in the community, and Patricia Villaseñor came and worked with the community and that organization to try to resolve the problem. The second is when Devin Brown was killed by the police, and the commission was concerned there would be another explosion in the city. Immediately held an emergency meeting and helped diffuse the tensions that were arising on that one. And the last is I'm on the Watts Gang Task Force, and that task force was to deal with the killings and the violence. And there has been profound involvement and significance. So I don't know the form that it will take, but certainly the entity of human relations must continue to survive.
Thank you very much, and I think the deputy mayor knows that and hears that, and the mayor hears that as well, especially in response to incidents that the mayor's office, that the Human Relations Commission, that council offices have their ability to resolve and deal with those issues. We have some commissioners here right now that I'd like to call on. Martha Swiller from the President of the Children, Youth, and Their Families Commission, Keith Rothman from the President of the Human Relations Commission, and Francine Wilson, President of the Commission on the Status of Women. If any of those others are listed to speak, and I know you're first.
Okay. Unfortunately, Keith Roman and Francine Wilson aren't here today. They aren't here yet, so I think we're expecting them in a bit. I'm Martha Swiller. I'm the chair of the Children's Commission, and I've been working with the Commission on Status of Women and Human Relations Commission for the past year after our consolidation into the Human Services Department. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today to talk to you, because I think what the City Council did by sending this issue back to your committee was saying, let's keep talking about this. And I think we're making a lot of forward positive progress, going from kind of saying the Human Services Department will be eliminated to figuring out where the functions that we perform can go. And I'm here basically to tell you that I personally support this progress. I think that where the CCYF is slated to go in the proposal that people are talking about is a good idea. I think that trying to find an appropriate home for the Youth Council is right on, and thank you for not forgetting them. I knew you wouldn't. And also the Commission on Status of Women and the Human Relations Commission. I know there's work to do there. I'm looking forward to participating in ongoing conversation about that so that we can do the best that we can in these terrible financial times. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your service to the City of Los Angeles, Madam President. Mr. Willis, we have no other cards before us to speak, and does anyone want to make any comment right now? Anybody from the department? So we're okay? We're okay. Want to introduce yourself as the acting?
Yeah, Cheryl Soriano, interim GM, Human Services Department. We're really looking forward and grateful for this opportunity to continue, especially the maintenance of the 3 advisory boards. And the functional transfer of a lot of the staff over to CDD to continue these core services, and as much as we can within the parameters that we have. Very grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you. We are going to charge the mayor's office in a friendly way because we can't charge the mayor's office, but you can't forget the youth. Antonio was young once. He still looks young once, so he does. Okay, a long time ago, we're all there together. So that's very good. I think also, Mr. Reyes, what is nice is that mayor's office has been working collaboratively with departments under heavy pressure to try to come up with solutions. And this may be a great solution in looking at the variety of what would be the organizational chart for Community Development Department, which may help the Community Development Department have a better ring into the community. Mr. Reyes.
Yeah. I think one of the significant issues to begin to weigh is how do we create a social infrastructure, a way in which we start reevaluating the role of the city when we want to bring forth preventive measures where youngsters don't fall into the downward spiral of a gang culture. And I think that's one of the balancing acts that we all have in front of us. 75 or 70% of the budget does go to police and fire. And so the question arises, and I've raised this question with the mayor in council already, what kind of city will we be? Are we going to be the city with the big stick? Or are we going to be a city with balance that allows for the kinds of services and support programs that prevents the youngsters from going to prison, to juvenile hall, and to places that ends up costing us a lot more in the long run? And so therein lies, I think, one of the biggest challenges before us. And it's sad because in the state that now ranks around 50, 51 in quality of education, when it used to be in the top 10, when a state that spends 4 to 5 times more in prisons than it does in schools is a real reflection of where we need to reassess our values. So again, that's what's in front of us in a time when we are looking at a $650 or $615 million debt in the next 2 years, with revenues falling at historic levels that we have yet to see since the Great Depression. So those are the pressures that we're working through, and we need to come up with some real decisions to get us out of this abyss. So thank you very much.
Mr. Reyes, thank you for your words, and also your heart is always right there as someone who speaks eloquently about the challenges of all people, especially those in great need. With no public comment cards shown, this meeting is now going to be adjourned.
Excuse me?
The action will be, I wanted to ask the action there. You could always excuse me, Erica. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. For clarification and for the record, is the committee recommending that the mayor's proposal as presented this morning go forward to council with
Forward to
recommendation?
council, we want the whole council. Mayor's office has got to inform the rest of the council to educate them on this, what we believe is the right steps in structuring within this budget challenge a continuing arm of service, yet with reduced overhead costs. Okay. Go to council. But the one amendment was that the mayor's office be charged, or whatever the right term is, with the creation of a youth advisory council focused on young people between the ages of 15 and 19 from our local schools.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no other comments. Everybody have a good afternoon. Thank you very much. Good morning.